So without further ado, I think it would be useful to just give us your vision of what we mean by conversational commerce.
What we're able to do is actually to merge payment within the chat system and similarly on other messaging platform. And what it allows us to do is actually remove this type of friction. Instead of me as a consumer having to do 5-step offline to online and back online, I can do everything within a simple app, which is already on my phone in essence. So it's not an additional app that I have to download that is sucking up my memory, which is very important in emerging markets actually. But it's actually within a messaging channel, which I use every day with my friends. So I think that's important.
So you think that that's the, with regards to RCS, that's one of the biggest selling points, and I suppose why it's catching the headlines is because it's already built into the handset and it's ready to go, and so therefore, merchants and brands aren't having to offer their consumers propositions whereby they have to skip in and out of different environments, right?
Yes, and in essence, it's not about changing consumer behavior. It's about actually enabling the consumer behavior in a much faster and efficient manner. And because it's already on the phone, once again, there's not a problem of, will I have to download an app, etc., etc. It also allows, let's also not forget, for us, we're a little bit tech savvy, but a lot of mass market consumers are not that tech savvy. And it allows those consumers actually to have direct access to a commerce channel as well as a communication channel with mom and pop stores. And so it goes both ways actually, because even more so during times of COVID, when offline stores had to close down and become online for a lot of them, if you're doing let's say a small food stall, your alternative becomes to use a Grab Food or the food apps. It's great, but it's a limited market. First of all, you don't touch 100% of the population in terms of consumer reach. Second of all, you also have very high transaction fees. Whereas here, you could bypass all those fees, basically. So that is also, there are, beyond the friction, removal of the friction, there's also some economic value for both consumers and sellers.
So basically, presumably different in different cases, I guess.
Yeah, so basically, at the end of the day, the consumer needs to choose not only his or her communication channel, but as well as their payment method. So, if I want to use a credit card, then I will be redirected to one of our credit card big payment players, and there's quite a few. But, if it's more for, let's say, a micro transaction, then I also have the option to use direct card billing if I want to. And because we are, integrated into 280 plus operators worldwide, we are able to offer the DCB approach. Obviously, it depends from market to market. In emerging markets, as mentioned earlier, it is more actually crucial to offer the DCB payment option because credit cards are so scarce in our territories.
I wanted to ask you if you could give us, maybe your top 3 or 4 applications or sectors where you've taken this holistic approach to, or omnichannel approach to messaging. You've provided all of the billing mechanisms that might be necessary or needed in order to maximize conversion rates. If we were talking to, what would the businesses look like right now that should be absolutely getting on it?
Once again, I would say almost any digital business end-to-end. Why? Because people don't realize, but digital customer acquisition through digital channel is expensive. Effective one is actually very expensive. People say, you can always use Google and Facebook, and it is true. But it's actually extremely expensive. To acquire a digital banking customer, downloading an app is about $30 in Thailand, in a country like Thailand. So it's actually very, very expensive. So clearly, any digital business would be a likely candidate. For us, most of our customers are gaming companies. Why? Because it has always been that, gaming, most games online on mobile actually require micropayments. So it's very well suited for career building. So that's a bonus. But we also have social media services, such as matchmaking services, so any in-app small purchase is typical for that. Once again, the question is really about re-engagement and minimizing churn and being able to reach to the customer with new offers as it goes. And I think that's where, it's why in that context, it's more using conversational commerce more as a marketing customer engagement platform than e-commerce platform per se. And I think that's where, there will be several flavors, if you will, based on the back of the same technology, but really used slightly differently. So if you are, once again, a restaurant, it may be actually customer acquisition. If you are a gaming company, it's more a re-engagement platform. And if you are a mom and pop store, it may be just removing the friction of, the traditional question and answer that customers have on products. Because, how many times you look at a product on an e-commerce site and you're like, well, I need actually to send a message and ask a question. And then it takes you a day or two to receive an answer. That's not very interactive. So I think it also brings back a certain, human factor in a way to some e-commerce transaction that has become a little bit, screen with just, photos and clicks. So I think it's quite also interesting in a way. And it's funny because we're starting again to speak about conversational commerce, less so about O2O, but it's actually offline to online. That's what it's actually supporting as a behavior.